All right. I'm headed back down in here to get our camera. This camera's been down here for a week, so it's that same place where we had that encounter. And so I'm trying to kind of go on a different angle to see if I can't see something else that may have been overlooked, because I'm going to pull the camera out of here and take it to a, that's kind of a weird little cross right there, isn't it? Behind me. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, into another place I want to check. The elk are still in here thick, and it's cold. I mean, driving out here I had to have gloves and a coat on. It doesn't look cold, but it's cold. This is setting at about 7,500 feet, and the tops are up over 8. So it gets cold. There's still snow up high, but there's a lot of strangeness, to say the least, down in here. I've heard people talking about, can you hear that crow? I swear. Listen, you hear that crow? Every time. If he comes back around, I'll show you. This has never failed, not one time. Look, there he is. Let me flip it around. Okay. I turned my hat around because I keep hearing something behind us. That way I can get past getaway if I need to. I'll have to go back for my hat because I wouldn't. Anyway. Something's following us. I don't know what it is. It doesn't sound real big. It might be a cat, mountain lion or cougar. Maybe even, well, bobcat's not going to follow you. Anyway, if something does come up behind me, you'll be able to see it. Alright. Okay. It's easier for me to get through this stuff if I talk, so I don't hear every little thing and freak out. I'm not sure if I talked about pine nuts. I may have, but it's an interesting structure thing. Anyway, there's not a lot of pine nuts that are edible, especially in the US. The pinyon nut is probably one of the few that you can eat. And like this little weird thing behind me. A lot of this stuff's just weird. Anyway, there's about 3 or 4 different kinds that are edible in the world, maybe a few more. But the pinyon is the most sought after nut. That's why they're so expensive. There's a European pine nut that's longer, but not as good. Not nearly as many calories or, you know, antioxidants. There's one in Asia, but it's smaller and more round. I've heard there's a couple others in the States towards California. I'm not sure. I couldn't find anything online about it. But I did find that the pinyon that's loaded with calories and good fat grows between 6,500 feet and 7,500 feet the best. And if you can find that perfect happy medium, you can have a lot of pine nuts. And we get a lot of pine nuts. And the other thing that I was thinking about the other night was when I was a kid, we used to go out and gather pine nuts. And when we did, I would just eat the shell and the nut together, and it was good. I mean, you can eat them that way. And one thing I've learned is there's always a little bit of sap on those nuts. And if you've done any research at all on pine gum, what you'll find is pine gum is basically frankincense. And if you look up frankincense and all the properties and all the good things that are in frankincense, you could see why it could be sought after for something intelligent that needed a high calorie diet, because you can eat those pine nuts all year. They'll start to go bad. I mean, I could eat them right, I could pick some up right now and eat them and they'd be fine. But they start to go bad as soon as it starts heating up. They'll dry out. So you could technically get through the winter digging for pine nuts and larger game. And I know frankincense is used for a lot of good things. You know, I don't know everything it's used for, but if you looked it up, you'd be astounded. It's used for a lot. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in because I was wondering too. I mean, if they're not shelling the pine nuts, they're still good, and the shell may have properties too that we don't understand. So anyway, that's my rant on pine nuts. See that? Yeah, it may have fallen that way, but you know what the chances are? Not many. Not high anyway. So I don't want to film all of this because I filmed it, but I don't want to miss out on. I mean, look at that tree's been pushed over. That's recent. That's just been done. Oh. Okay. So we're getting close to that camera, I'm thinking. Almost like that feeling. That weird feeling you get when you feel like you're being watched. It doesn't seem to be as intense anymore. Or maybe it's just me, the fact that we're getting close to the camera to pick it up and leave. I don't know. There's a thicker part that I wanna film and see what's there. There's that bone. It's just been sitting in that tree. It's strange in itself. Anyway, shelter under there. Man. I mean, there's a tree leaning right there. Separate, that's a pine leaning against the juniper. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna set this. It's just all just, look at that. There's a trail, there's even a, look at that arrow in there. Making something. That's not normal. Easy. Alright, I'm gonna, ooh, over there, this is good. I'm gonna put it right on this tree. See, that's really strange. Now that, there's no pine trees anywhere around here, and that pine tree's stuffed into these juniper trees. And that's kind of a interesting little place.